Your organization, the Committee to Unleash Prosperity, just released a new study showing how the latest stimulus proposal would actually hurt the labor market. Explain those findings and what you think is appropriate in a possible stimulus package.
Well, Greta, first of all, your heart has to go out to the men and women who run these small businesses and restaurants and bars, retail stores around the country that have been shuttered by government policy. And it's a tragedy. It's one of the great tragedies of American history, what's going on with over half the states shutting down their businesses. That's millions and millions of workers who've lost their jobs as a result of that. Now, the question, of course, is what do we do about it? How do we solve these problems? And everyone wants to provide aid to the people who've been hurt. But one of the problems with this $300 a week unemployment benefit, and by the way, Greta, I was just right before I came on your show, I got a call from a friend on Capitol Hill who's high ranking, saying that it looks like the $300 a week unemployment benefits for another 4 months will be in this bill. I have a problem with that, Greta. By the way, people should know that $300 a week is on top of the normal benefit. It's not $300 a week only, it's $300 plus the normal benefit. And it turns out that about half of the workers around the country who are unemployed would get more money for staying unemployed than to go back on the job. And I have a problem with that. I think it's bad incentives, and I think it's unfair to the people who are working. The people who aren't working are getting more money than they are.
The Federal Reserve today did conclude their final meeting of 2020, keeping interest rates unchanged as expected and vowing to continue their bond buying program until substantial progress is made in healing the U.S. economy. And Chairman Jerome Powell, kind of avoiding saying what that substantial progress would be. This gets technical, but can you break down what that means and how it impacts the U.S. economy and the consumer?
Well, anytime the Fed speaks out like it did today, we spend the next couple of days trying to figure out exactly what they mean by their statement. And they did say they're not going to have negative interest rates. Many of the rates that the Fed sets are at zero. So if you go lower, you have to go negative. And I think that's good. We don't want negative interest rates in this country. It hasn't worked anywhere else in the world, and it wouldn't work here. The Fed did say it would continue, Greta, to purchase tens and tens of billions of dollars of bonds every week. I think they're buying about $80 billion of federal debt every week. And think about what that means, Greta. It means that when the federal government, the Congress, spends all this money and then borrows it, and then the debt is bought by the Federal Reserve Bank. So the left arm of the money is spending it, the right arm of the money is lending it out, and then the third arm of the government is buying the debt. Essentially, the only way the government can buy the debt is to print money. So we are monetarizing our debt. And I think that's a very dangerous situation because most countries that have tried that, it hasn't had a happy ending. So we will see. The good news is that inflation is still very low. It's below the Fed's target of 2%. We're running at about 1 to 1.5%. So there is some wiggle room there. But I don't believe, Greta, that we're going to be able to solve our economic problems of shutdowns by having the federal government print money through the Fed.
On those shutdowns, Commerce Department releasing some grim consumer data today. Retail sales falling 1.1% in November as those restrictions were ramped up. That drop came even as Black Friday and Cyber Monday set records. Do you expect the vaccine to help lift us out of this latest round of lockdowns and ultimately get consumers back out there?
You mean the new package?
No, the latest with the vaccines with Pfizer and Moderna rolling those out. Yeah.
Sorry, I misunderstood you. So that's a great point. I mean, I've been saying this for many, many weeks, and if not months, that the ultimate stimulus for the economy, you're exactly right, Greta, is the vaccine. Once we have that vaccine out there, and it's rolling out as we speak, but hopefully by the end of January, we'll have millions and millions of Americans vaccinated, then we can reopen the stores. People will go back in and purchasing things in retail stores and going to movies and going to parks and all of those things. So yes, you're spot on correct that the road out of this crisis is this vaccine. It's very promising, 94% effective so far. And so, what we're looking at now in terms of this, I hear this package that Congress is near completing is going to be $1 trillion. I see you have Mitch McConnell on the screen there. He's the one who negotiated this with Nancy Pelosi, and I don't know what he's saying, but it looks like they're getting very, very close to a deal.
All right, economist Steve Moore there joining us to discuss the dangers of the latest stimulus proposal and, of course, this continued economic recovery amid the pandemic. Thanks so much, as always, for coming on the show today, Steve.
Thank you, Greta.
Want to see more videos like this? Visit OANN.com for immediate access to all the clips you've been waiting to see.